I think if we were to fast forward, like, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 years, and maybe you're talking to a kid, a grandkid or something, you're like, Dad, Mom, whoever, tell me about what that era of Knicks basketball was like in the early 2020s. I feel like you could pop in a tape because, of course, we'll still have VHS tapes then of this game and just show whoever it is you're talking to this game and say, that's what it was like. And obviously, a little bit more context is needed. The fact that this is a team that has been struggling to look like a forget a contending NBA team, but like a team that is a secure playoff team looking to do things after the calendar flips to April and God willing May. It's been a struggle, and there were so many reasons coming into tonight to feel like, oh my goodness, how is this thing going to go over the final 20 games when you consider the stretch of basketball that they have had? And what they came out on their home court and did tonight, and it wasn't just one guy. It wasn't, yes, I know Brunson came back, and Brunson completely and totally changes this team. I don't give a shit what anybody says. He should still be in the running for a spot on people's MVP ballots. When you look at his overall impact, what he does, he is the alpha, he's the omega. Because when he's in there, it sets them on a different tone. Opponents fear them in a way that obviously they don't have to when he's not in there. And when things get tight, when the going gets tough, who's there to just give you a basket, give you a basket, give you another basket? And boy, did he make a lot of baskets tonight. But it was not just about him. It wasn't just about two guys or three guys or four. It was the entire collective effort of a team that knew they needed a win, and they needed a win against this team that they're competing, this Magic team that, give them all the credit in the world. They're young, but they are good. And they are absolutely competing this year to do, we'll see where they end up. But this team has been playing as well as pretty much any team in basketball for the last month or so. And the Knicks needed to beat them to continue to give themselves a chance for the sort of playoff positioning that they would like to have. And what did this Knicks team do? It's a phrase I've used a lot recently because this is the only reason they've been in any of these games. Through sheer force of will, came out and through like brute strength, force, didn't allow the Magic at any point in time tonight to think that they had a chance of gaining control of this game. And yes, you have to make shots, and their shot making early was important. They started out going 8 of 10 from 3. We could talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about a lot of things. I think you could argue that was the most important stat of the game because it set them, again, on the right path. Brunson, big part of that. Deuce, a big part of that. We're going to talk about him. But it was more than that, because that just gets you off to a certain start. And by the way, the Magic actually got off to a decent offensive start. Paolo was hitting everything. Wendell Carter with a couple of above the break threes. This is the NBA. I don't care who you're playing. It's the year 2024. Any team has it in them to make a run. And by the way, this Magic team against the Knicks and against other teams over the last several weeks as they've had this successful streak, they are capable of coming back, even though they, amongst good teams in the league, shoot the three ball worse than just about anyone, because they are methodical. They are the We Hear Knicks, basically reincarnated. So don't tell me that because the Knicks got off to a hot shooting start, that was all they needed to do in this game. They needed to do way more than that, because this Magic team they don't know that they're not supposed to be here. They don't know that it's too early for them. They fight in these games, and the Knicks never, relented. And that was because of their defense. And that was because first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, they were defending possessions against this Magic team like it was a win or go home game. And I don't want to blow it up too much because like this team has been playing really, really strong defense, at least in terms of the effort, for quite a long time now. I know their defense, the numbers have not been good over the last month, and that's, I think, more a function of personnel than anything else. But I don't know how you can expect a team to give more on the defensive end than the Knicks gave tonight. Truly. Does it make it easier to do when you don't have to fear an opponent from three? Absolutely. 100%. But to give up the fewest points allowed in the league this year, and you're missing your best defensive player in OG Anunoby, and you're missing a guy who we talked about as a contender for Defensive Player of the Year early on, in Mitchell Robinson, and you give up 74 points. Fred tweeted it out. He beat me to it. The last game that the Knicks gave up fewer than 74 points was April 13th, 2012, a game against the Washington Wizards. I'm going to read you the Wizards lineup in that game. Kevin Seraphin, Jordan Crawford, John Wall, Chris Singleton, Jan Vesely, Roger Mason, James Singleton, Cartier Martin, Shelvin Mack, and Brian Cook. None of those players are in the league anymore. And that's because it was a really long time ago the Knicks gave up fewer than 74 points. I mean, to do something you haven't done in a decade or more than a decade. We keep saying different versions of the same thing. Speaks so highly of their character, speaks so highly of the culture that they have built. And I think it really does speak highly of the fact that this team, amidst one injury after another, Brunson clearly was on some sort of a minutes limit tonight. He sat out from, I want to say, the 4-minute mark of the first quarter until the 8-minute mark of the second quarter. He hasn't sat anywhere close to that long. Yeah, he was back in at the 7:59 mark of the second quarter after going out at the 4:20 mark. So he sat for more than 8 minutes. Very clearly, he was not all the way back yet, even though from his performance, he could have fooled me. Didn't matter. It didn't matter because of the effort. It mattered. They needed him. His presence mattered. But once he came out and got them off on that foot, that was enough. And the rest of their supporting cast did the rest. And I feel a little bit bad calling the rest of them supporting cast, but like, look, they're doing it right now with role players, with Jalen Brunson and role players. Like, they have some really good role players, but that's what this team has been for more than a month now, ever since Julius Randle went down and ever since OG Anunoby went down, to say nothing, obviously, of Mitchell Robinson not being here. And what did those role players do? Well, those role players showed you, I think, that this front office has a pretty good eye. I don't even, to say they have an eye for talent isn't doing enough credit for the sort of player that they look for, because it's not just talent. It is very clear, both in terms of guys that they want to fit in this locker room, in terms of how they approach their business and how they execute on the floor and how they go about their business on the floor. They're looking for a certain type of player. And I think, again, to take it back to what I said at the top, if you want to describe this Knicks team to someone decades from now who never got the pleasure of seeing them play, pop in this tape, because it's all like Knicks sort of guys, Tibbs sort of guys playing in that way. Like, yes, the Knicks finished tonight shooting an absurd percentage from three. They were 16 to 33, 48.5%. They only shot 48% overall in the night. Like, that's not crazy. I thought like there was a lot of there was a lot of possessions where they missed like what seemed like a lot of decent looks. You know, they had a decent number of turnovers there in the second half. Yeah, they finished the game with 16 turnovers. That's actually quite a lot for the Knicks. Like, it was not a perfect game. It was not the cleanest of games, but their guys did what they do. I don't even know who to go to first. I mean, I'm not going to spend too long on this, and because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of shout outs throughout the night in the super chats, but I guess we got to start with Precious Achiuwa, right? 15 and 14 with 4 assists, 5 blocks, career high, and 2 steals. I think I know where a lot of the conversation is going to go tonight, and I have a feeling it is going to be surrounding the rotation when these guys all get healthy. Hey, what's up, kid? And like, where does Precious fit in? I don't. Yes, it is water. No, Daddy's not drinking straight vodka. By those amounts at least. Deuce McBride, another guy. What is his rotation spot when this team gets fully healthy? Well, tonight, 14 points, which is deceiving. 5 of 7 from the field, perfect from behind the arc. 3 of 3 from behind the arc. Had 2 steals. Incredible defense as always. Good night. I love you. She's a good kid. Like, how are you gonna take this guy out of the rotation? I gotta tell you, for as big as the Brunson threes were in the fourth quarter, when Deuce came in, when Brunson sat, I thought his threes were just as big to keep the momentum on. Like, you really didn't feel that much. I mean, I understand it's a bit of an oversimplification to say you didn't feel the drop off when Brunson sat and Deuce came in. You did in a way, but Deuce is doing enough in his own way right now to make it be like, well, we're okay now. Is he a traditional backup point guard? No, he's not a traditional backup point guard, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe you don't need him to be. So he was awesome. And that I might be burying the lead or the leads because 2 guys I haven't mentioned, the Hart combination, Isaiah Hartenstein and Josh Hart. And I kind of feel like, I know he only played 20 minutes. I'm wondering if the lead story of this game shouldn't be Isaiah Hartenstein. And the reason for that is for what this team hopes to do and for how their defense in particular is built. Offense, obviously, different game. I know Isaiah helps on offense, but in particular, their defense. They need maybe not 48 minutes of elite defensive production at the center position, but they need a lot. They need some elite production there. Otherwise, the defense is not going to hold up in the way they needed to hold up with how this team is built. The Isaiah Hartenstein that came out in the first quarter and that we saw in the 20 minutes he played in this game, that's the dude that was upholding the best defense in basketball, or whatever it was, borderline best defense in basketball with the Cavs over the month of January. That's the guy that we saw. I think that might be the biggest development from this game. And, maybe appropriately enough, I might be saving the best for last. Josh Hart's stat line, 19 points on 8 of 12 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. The dude is a madman. My personal favorite part about, again, and I know they haven't won a ton of games here. My personal favorite part about this most recent stretch is that dude is finally getting the credit that I know he got a lot of credit after the trade last year. Everybody fell in love with him after the trade last year, but that's the butterflies, right? That's when you first are falling in love with someone. It's easy to love someone when the team's winning and like they just made the trade. It's harder once you know their warts. And we've become very accustomed to Josh Hart's warts here in the year plus since he's been traded. And yeah, sometimes those warts come into play and they will surely be something that the team has to deal with in the postseason at times and manage around that. But for what he does for your team at both ends, and it's the attitude, it's the energy, it's the, like, every team that wants to do something in the league, you got to have one guy there that has some real shit to him. And Josh Hart has some shit to him. Boy, does he have some shit to him. It's such a pleasure to watch when he is in this place. His putback dunk, I know the game was already over. His putback dunk in the fourth quarter is in the running for one of maybe my 5 most fun, like, moments of the season for the Knicks team. Not biggest moments, obviously, but boy, oh boy. In this game, and I'll end on this, and then we'll go to the Super Chats. This game had so many of those moments. Isaiah Hartenstein with a massive block on a driving, I actually forget, was it Paolo or was it another Magic player? But it was as good a block as he's had, I think, all year. And I'm annoyed at myself right now. I'm looking it up who it was. It was Paolo. I thought it was Paolo. By the way, I don't know what Paolo Banchero's career high for most of his own shots were blocked in a game. Pretty sure he broke it tonight. And he's good, and I love Paolo, and I think very highly of him and all that, but Knicks had his number tonight. So there was that. You had the Precious Achiuwa, one of his plays of the year, where he got his own offensive rebound twice on the same possession and then kicked it out for DiVincenzo's 203 of the year. You had, there were a lot of good baskets from Brunson, but there was the one that put them up 69-47 in the third quarter. That was probably his most majestic, shall we say. You had a Deuce 4-point play. Like, everybody had moments in this game. Almost everybody. We'll perhaps talk about some other folks, including some folk who maybe did not get in the game after halftime. Actually, I don't know. Did Burks get in the end of the fourth quarter? I quite frankly did not pay attention. Bogey only 5 minutes in the second half, which I thought was interesting. Look, we know who this team's guys are, and they showed up tonight. And they needed to show up tonight. It's a big game. I said today, I wrote it that I thought this was the biggest game of the year, and I feel, if you're a Knicks fan and you love this team and you're hoping that this team could do maybe something interesting / special this season, I think you have to look at this game and be like, all right, I feel pretty good about my investment in this team this year. A lot of work to go, a lot left to do, but I think they're in a good spot. I'll just say that.